Hi, Claire. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good, good. Good to
I
see
love I love the color of your shirt.
you. Thanks.
Very bright. I just want to jump right into it and start off by asking you if you could talk about what was your favorite part with working with Monica on set?
Oh, man. I mean, she was such a great partner in crime. I think the most important thing in rom-coms, what makes or breaks a rom-com is the chemistry between the two leads. And she was great to work with. She brought in, great ideas, great energy. And it was truly a pleasure working with her. I mean, the whole dance sequence was basically like her idea. We in the script there was a dance scene, but Monica studied dance. Like she's a dancer, and she was like, no, 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 like let's make this a special dance sequence. And she brought in a choreographer, Desi, and we did this like tango salsa fusion, and I just tried to keep up. But she was a pleasure to work with.
Awesome. And I want to ask you, what did you learn about yourself as an actor filming this rom-com compared to your other previous roles?
Well, I mean, this was a special project, Claire, because we started developing this in 2018. It's the first project that I produced under my production company. And it was right after the first season of Luis Miguel. And, I teamed up with great producers, with Fred Berger, who produced La La Land, Michel Franco, who's an incredible Mexican director who directed me in Nuevo Orden, which won the Venice Film Festival. And, it was a crazy process, a lot of drafts, a lot of different revisions, and writers involved. It wasn't until we found Jonah Feingold, our director, that this really just he brought things to another level. you know
Can you talk about that process of balancing between being producer and also acting in the film, like having to switch modes when, okay, I'm going to be on set, I'm acting, but I'm also thinking about this in the back of my mind for production. What was that like?
well, I tried my best to surround myself with great producers, so that I could, as a producer, focus on the development of the project. But once we started principal photography, to focus on acting and just doing my job as an actor. Of course, there were production meetings after with locations and things that fell through and stuff. But I it was counting with my partner, with my partners, with my sister who is helping me run my production company, with my other partner Josh, with Dave Bernan, who's another producer, Michelle Franco. They were really helping me with things, because at the end of the day they couldn't act in the scenes for me. It was, yeah, that was my main role, was acting while we were shooting.
My last question for you is going to be, outside of the dance sequence, what was your favorite scene to film?
I really like the scene in the kitchen in the hotel, when Sophie Wilder wants to, eat something, and Alejandro prepares a torta, a sandwich. I really like that scene, that whole sequence.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Jonah. How are you?
Doing great. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Just diving into it, I would love for you to talk about your approach with At Midnight as compared to your previous feature film, Dating in New York.
Well, great question. I've heard of both of those movies. The Dating in New York was a movie that was born out of living in LA for 7 years, trying to make my dreams come true, constant rejection, and never understanding how a movie got made. And I moved back to New York City. I sold my car and I raised money independently to make an indie film for 14 days in New York. It was a dream come true, very difficult, but a dream come true. And it taught me a lot about narrative feature-length filmmaking. At Midnight was a project that had already been written by two other writers, and I came in and was allowed to inject myself into that script and had the support of wonderful producers and Paramount. to help just bring this thing to life. And I think the biggest difference was simply the team size was larger. There was more people you could go to for advice or for help or support. I didn't have to pay for craft services, which was nice. But the experience itself of, at the end of the day, it's you, the actors, the camera, not enough money, not enough light, not enough time, and trying to get to the essence of the scene. And I was really happy to learn that doesn't change no matter what set you're on. But obviously, being able to make another romantic comedy, I was really excited to take a film on that had Diego and Monica involved. They're, incredible actors. So that was a dream.
I love that. And I would love to talk to you about what's something that you learned about yourself as a director working with this batch of actors versus, your first feature-length film. What was different in your approach?
What I really enjoy about the difference here was that at midnight, 2 weeks of At Midnight were comedy. The comedy weeks. We had Whitney Cummings, Anders Holm, Casey Thomas Brown, Kat Cohen, Fernando Carsa. And those 2 weeks that they were there, it was just, we were shooting your sort of 2000s era comedy in the coverage and the tone and the whole thing. And then when all those funny people went away, it was just me, Diego, and Monica. We're like, oh, now it's romance time. And it kind of became this different energy. And it actually taught me a lot about how you schedule your movie. If you have a movie that has different tones, it's kind of fun to schedule each week as part of that tone. It helps you as an artist. And I learned that because on Dating in New York, every day was a combination of those two things. Again, I had Kat Cohen in that film as well. I was very lucky. Jabuki and Francesca would often have to be funny and romantic in the same scenes on the same day. And so I found it nice to kind of have that weekly separation between the two genres.
And what's your favorite part about making a romantic comedy? What draws you to it?
I love that you can romanticize things. You can be romantic. You can be cheesy. You can be melodramatic. You can push you can have music play when you want it to. You can do whatever you want. You can go text on screen. You can vignette. You can have the moon glow blue. And I love that you can kind of just I romanticize my life. I've chosen to live in this fantasy land that is trying to be a filmmaker. And I think the ability that in rom-coms, you can do that is allowed in the movie. That is in the language of the film. And I love that. And it's also just feel good. I like something that I like feel good movies. I like comfort movies.
And looking forward, you have seemingly a long career ahead of you. What would you
I hope.
hope to work on next in your next rom-com? I think you mentioned earlier about it definitely felt when watching the film very early 2000s, and I loved that because we haven't seen a lot of that recently in the past 5-10 years. So what are you hoping to bring back to the rom-com scene?
I think that's first off, I thank you for noticing that. And I think that what I wanted, even by making a rom-com, you are contributing to the genre. Whether or not people like it or see it, you are talking about it. It's getting talked about in Hollywood. When you cast it, people are talking about it. When you look for your crew, people talk about it. So by even making a rom-com, you are helping bring the rom-com back. And what I am hopeful for is to bring some serious artistry into the rom-com genre in the way that Nora Ephron would, or in the way that Billy Wilder did, and I think, I'm not saying I'm the one to do that, but I'm saying that by creating them and taking them seriously, you allow other filmmakers to do that. And so my dream for the next project is to continue doing what I've been able to do, which is make rom-coms that are magical in tone, romantic in tone, work with actors who I really love as human beings. I would love to work with some actors who have been in rom-coms in the 90s who are now trying to come back into the rom-com world, a la Sandra Bullock or something like that. And also, I really want to make a rom-com about Wendy from Peter Pan. That's kind of the thing that I've really been working on for a while. She's 30 years old, living in New York City. She's grown up, and no one believes that she got dumped by the biggest fuck boy in the world. And that is like my baby. And that's hopefully what I want to make next or after, whenever the world will allow that to happen.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Claire. It was awesome to meet you. And I love the website. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.